G'day viewers, it's Michael here again and welcome back to SingleRacer. And now, a couple of videos back, I tried a new update to a previous mod from the RSR website. And that being the Formula 3, or more specifically the original Formula 312. And now, although I do consider myself a good driver, I definitely don't consider myself either an alien or mechanically minded, meaning I have never really dealt properly with setups and I'm not very good at them. So it was more at the end of the video that it was my hunch that the car, specifically being the Formula 312, didn't feel any faster at the end of the Nordschleife lap. And so do you reckon that I was not absolutely thrilled when I got a direct message from Radiator Springs under that video, aka the RSR website? And I'll leave that message up here so you can read a bit of it, but in that message they stated that the RSR formula, or the original Formula 312, is in fact untouched from the previous version, which was version 3.1. And also in that message they then kindly suggested that unless I had different track settings, which I didn't because it's normally, it's like a set default setting whenever I'm trying to do a genuine hot lap, that it was in fact the driving skill, or more accurately the slow unlocking of my Nordschleife, because I do it so often. I'm really unlocking each corner now, really testing out certain ways to come into the corner, and I feel like I'm getting faster and faster on the Nordschleife. So that bared fruit with the 2-second difference from my original try to now. But that was purely based on unlocking those corners because the car in fact is no different. But if you go on to read the second part of this message, and they highlighted in the beginning as well, they say that the new version of the car, so the reason for the update version 4 is they've introduced a brand new car called the Formula 317. So it's built from the ground up with new physics, suspension, engine and aero package, and probably many more things that I can't cover here. But I was then curious to see how much quicker that might be. Now, interestingly, at the end of the message, and I'll underline it here, is they give me a question mark with the sentence "challenge accepted," and that's like a red rag to a bull. And so I just had to give it another go just to see what the difference between the two cars is as far as my lap time on the Nordschleife goes. And so folks, just before we do go hot lapping again in the new mod, I just want to cover off on a bit of housekeeping to the differences between the two cars. So here is the original car, and I like to look at the top speed here of 230. But the figure I probably look at the most when I'm looking at new mods is the weight to power ratio, listed here as 2.73, because I feel that's the overall togetherness of the car. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's sort of much easier to compare when you've got so many different things, like so you could have a more powerful car but with much heavier weight, so that rules it out. So the figure that I take into account more is that weight to power ratio. So if you look at the top speed here of 230 and we go to the new car, we've got the same top speed, but the power to weight ratio is much less. So here only 2.03. So it would be interesting to see how this translates time difference wise to the previous car. Now, one thing I want to say is I am going for a world record here. Now, there's no guarantees, absolutely, considering that I'm driving, but the one thing is I do a lap as the default, because that's what I always try to do in the beginning, just to get comfortable with the car, and I'll have that time at the end of the video. But for this For the reason that I'm going for the world record, I do some tuning changes. Now, like I said, I don't know much about how to do setups, so the only real true tuning is dropping the fuel level to Hotlap levels and a slight difference in gearing and tyres. Not very much, but just trying to maximize the gearing and tyre pressures for the Hotlap. So now let's see how I do. So this is Michael signing out for SingleRacer. I'll catch you next time, and let's go hotlapping. Now, just before we head off on this hot lap of the Nordschleife in this fantastic new mod, the Formula 317, I just want a bit of transparency in the sense that I'm doing the commentary over the replay, and this way I feel that I can give more focus to the commentary and all the corners rather than worry about just driving well, naturally. And but also this is a fantastic mod for beginners. Those drivers that might want to work themselves up to Formula 1 cars but feel that it might be a bit above them at the moment, but this is an excellent car to bridge that gap, to get used to the speed, but it's a little bit easier to handle than an all-out Formula 1 car mod for Assetto Corsa. So what I want to do is, this is the normal view, but it can be quite hard, especially if you're not used to the Nordschleife, but on any track. So what I want to do is I just want to go over here to the helmet and raise this up a bit so that you can get a clear view of what I'm doing and how I'm approaching the corner. I just feel that that helps beginners and those drivers having trouble with the track a bit more overview into how I'm taking the corners and what angle I'm coming in. So although it's not the correct view, I feel it's more helpful, and I'm not trying to help aliens because they don't need that help. So for beginners, I think this is a better view. So let's head off now. Okay, now remember the start finish line is until I get a few corners ahead, so really how I drive here doesn't particularly matter. But you want a good run into this corner, and I love taking this S shape to get a good run in. That's it, a good start. Now the first thing that I always try and do is try and trail brake into this corner. So I hold the brake a little bit, hold it a little bit to get that turn in, and it gives me that full power out of the corner. And again here, just hold it and full power, and I can accelerate much earlier than I used to, providing I set those two corners up. Now I was making the mistake of driving this like a road car, not trusting its grip. In other words, not driving it like a Formula car. But as you can see there, I didn't need to lift my power, but especially coming up to this corner here. So I had to find that limit to how much grip this car has, and believe me, it has a lot of grip. Now here, see, I'm not taking my foot off, full grip all the way. It's got great aerodynamics, and again here, full power out of the corner. It can be quite hard learning where the grip line is and trusting the grip over a standard road car or even something like a GT3 car. So again here, trusting that power, going full bore, and then trusting that it will turn in. Although this you've got to be a little bit careful there. Oh, see? So that wasn't done as well. And now we come up to a corner again where in a road car I would normally change down one gear, but here I can just trust the power and the grip and then just go bang, 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 3 changes down into here. Absolutely fantastic. So for those of you maybe like Mike Smith at SingRacing 604, if you haven't tried this
brand new version of the 317, I highly recommend it. Flying through here is just absolutely fantastic. But here I always ease off. I always want to try and get that turn in, that tight turn in, and you just cannot understeer and make time on that corner. Now again, here was the trust where normally I would ease off a little bit more, but here I could just turn in and floor it and trust the grip. Now admittedly that wasn't well taken, so probably cost me a couple of tenths there. And nice and tight. I like to come in behind the corner on this one to try and maximise the speed. I still don't know if it's 100% the best way of taking that corner, but the corner coming up is where I feel that I've made the most improvement. Now this to me is a great car for beginners because it doesn't have a huge top speed here. Like 230 is around the maximum, but here is where you really like just fly through this. Don't have to take it off at all, and it's a great overall car when you're new to Formula car style driving. You know, it's trusting that grip again. There you could hear the little skid, so I'm trying for that world record and pushing it a bit, maybe a little bit too hard. Again, for some reason, these two cars, and it's no offence to RSR, but they just don't like that carousel for some reason. It's really a struggle to get these two cars through that carousel. But I love this bit. And this was the hardest bit for me, was trusting, like here, just see, I pushed it too hard here. And see what happens. Now this is where Marco helped me so much, was understanding that the more I pushed and the more I understeered, so here for example, we'll see just pushing a bit too wide, it actually costs you, and it's understanding that difference between being fast but pushing too hard, and here I felt I took this much better, and again here I think I take this, well, trying to keep the speed up but not overextending. Now here's another one where I feel I've improved, where I angle it in there and keep the speed up, and it's that fine balance between being on the edge and then over pushing, and you actually cost yourself time. And I think that's why I love the Nordschleife so much, is that it's such a challenge getting every single corner right. Flying through here, oh, this was a great corner in this car, and there, trusting the grip levels again, and this one, just flying through this, trusting that grip through here, hanging on, trying to keep the power down. Absolutely fantastic car. I highly recommend this car. But see, here is a great example of the balance. Now, so okay, the maximum speed here is around the 243 mark. That's, I lowered 6th gear to try and be higher in the rev range to maximize that top speed. But here is where for beginners, it's a great overall car. So although you're slower than a Formula 1 car, you're not so slow compared to a road car or GT car here. So you can keep your speed up here because it's got much more grip. So it's that beautiful balance. And now let's get this last corner right. And do I break the world record? No. Damn, I've got to give it to those two guys that are on top, and I'll show you the leaderboard at the end, but they were lightning fast and I just couldn't catch them, so I'll just have to settle for a podium 3rd place. So let's get out and have a fine look at this car again. Now, it doesn't look that much difference. The car shape is sort of similar, so it's more the work they've done on the aerodynamics and the speed and the power and everything like that. But just a beautiful car I'm not mechanically inclined enough to notice the real differences, but as we go here and we say thanks to RSR and the website for their message and their challenge, I gladly enjoyed that challenge. And as we sit in the car again and say goodbye to that spotter over there, I have a video on how to install RSR, so if you feel like checking that out, it's under the tutorials playlist, so give it a go, see what you think, and I really enjoyed it, and thank you again to RSR for that message. So this is Michael signing out for SingleRacer. I'll catch you next time. See you later.